called real talk. Real
This
talk.
is real talk, real life. So I'm excited to be here with you guys tonight. If you guys are on the live, give us a hashtag live. If you're on the replay, give us a hashtag replay. I'm Lynn Gray, and this is Charlene. And I am so excited to have you here, by the way, Charlene. And this is fun, talking about sales and marketing. Because I was thinking very fondly about you today as I was driving to go get my lunch. And, I was thinking, there are some very real mistakes I see small businesses making that are keeping them from getting clients, that are keeping them from getting customers. And I thought we could focus a little bit on tonight's keeping it raw and real topic on things that are keeping people from getting clients in their business. And hey, Susan, good to see you. So glad you're here.
Hey, Susan.
So, it's really interesting to me because we were talking recently, and we're talking about, people buying and not buying. And, the online world is a very interesting ecosystem.
It is. It's the Wild Wild West for some.
It is the absolute Wild West, the crazy Wild West, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
And people make promises that they don't deliver on. There's a lot of, completely bogus webinars. Anybody here? Raise your hand if you've ever signed up for a webinar and you get on and you're like, what did I just get hit with?
Yes, it's happened not only to you and me, but it keeps happening.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, I was just like really shocked because, I recently attended a webinar for, somebody who, I'm really kind of intrigued by their business model. And it's a challenge. And the first day challenge, I walked out of there and I was like, I think I got one sentence of anything valuable out of that.
Wow.
And it was like, and Susan says, OMG, yeah, it's a total waste of time, right? And it was interesting to me that she spent so much time telling us how amazing of a job she does and that she was going to do and how amazing and transformative this whole thing was going to be. And I was like, but where's the beef? I felt like that old lady in the Wendy's commercial going, where's the beef?
Right. But that's the disconnect, right? Because the marketing brought you to the challenge. They did everything right to bring you there. But when they couldn't fulfill and deliver, that's where so many entrepreneurs, business owners, so many people who are in that space specifically using that strategy actually hurt their business forever.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's the hardest part because you and I look at things with two rules. One, deliver what you say you're going to deliver. And two, be able to come with content that's meaningful, that has action driving, principles that your people walk away and say, that was so much value. I can't believe it. I love it. Thank you. We live by that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, today was just interesting because I don't know if it was like a missed target experience. Like, I was just not the right target audience. So I wasn't being hit by it. Which is definitely one of the things that I see preventing people from getting, from like converting me is maybe I wasn't just quite the right content. But I mean, I felt like it was really kind of just a really interesting experience. So somebody else posts and says, I have the opposite effect. I have beefy content with poor wording and packaging.
Well, that happens too, right? Because
that happens too.
And you've cut off the fat and we really focus in on just, content delivery and being able to, over deliver because that's probably your strategy and that's okay
right.
too.
Right. And, you feel like, okay, I have beefy content with poor wording and packaging. And then, then the question is, are they not converting because they, feel like they got everything that they needed?
Well, and I think too, a lot of people don't understand that the sales copy is different than copy for content. And I
Yes.
think that's a huge disservice that a lot of people who run these challenges or run, these webinars, they don't understand the difference between both. And so they think their copy is sales copy, but that's not true. And they also think that it's assumed that they should have their sales convert. Like it should be natural. Shouldn't they know, Shar? And I'm like, no, they're not.
Mm-mm.
They're not going to convert. We're so sorry to tell you that and burst your bubble, but it
Yeah.
doesn't work that way.
Well, and the other thing I see a lot of is, when we start talking about copy that converts, marketing that converts, a lot of times people will focus on, oh, look, you get 3 hours with Haley. You get 3 hours with me. And and I'm sure that the reader is looking at it going, and why do I care about getting 3 hours with Haley? I don't really care about 3 hours with Haley. I care about what the outcome is.
Right. But that's a difference as well because you're a mature business owner, right? You're a mature business owner with the depth of education and training and experience. Where a lot of people who come into entrepreneurship, they may have, an education, they may have corporate experience, they may be coming in that, but until you have depth, it's really hard. And I think we talked about this morning, the maturity of the customer is where you can actually create a disconnect because if they don't understand why they need appropriate copy, why they need certain funnels, why they need to have certain, widgets for their lead magnets, like if they don't understand that, it's really hard to have an apple to apple conversation. You're having
Yeah.
apple to orange.
Right. Well, and that's why I think that being a customer, being a business owner, as much as somebody's going to hate, Charlene, I don't know if you're going to hate me for saying this, but I feel like a lot of people don't educate themselves enough to know enough about what they're buying and why they're buying it and understanding the difference between apples, peaches, and oranges. Because a lot of times they're like, oh, I heard Facebook ads are really good for my business, so therefore I should be doing Facebook ads.
Right. But I think, Haley, this is the problem. So one of the things that I think you and I have to do consistently is fill the gap of what other people don't do well, right? They come to us after they've been burned. They come to us after the third website isn't working. They come to us because they said, I've had 3 coaches and nothing's worked, Char. They had me spend $50,000 and I didn't get a single sale. We have to pick up the pieces because now the customer is asking a better question and they have enough maturity and they actually have enough. I consider this experience to say this isn't working. And until the customer gets to that point, you fix broken websites, right? And I solve revenue problems. We don't come to that conclusion because everyone's walking in the door saying, I've got a banner on my forehead that says, bling, 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 fix my broken website. They come to us because they finally realize I've got to give up the control. I've got to give up the idea that I have to follow every shiny object trend that there is. And now I've got to look for real results.
Yeah. And results are, to be clear, money in your pocket. Sales. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're not selling, if you're not getting sales, this is just a really expensive hobby.
And it's really a waste of your time. Like you could be doing other things that probably are going to bring you joy and happiness. And you're probably going to be a better person at home. And, you're not going to be so grouchy every day and turn into this monster because, your funnel didn't work. Like, I think the person overall, their psyche improves if they get sales, if they have successes, and if they have clients achieving their goals and they're delivering what they promised.
Yeah, totally. I agree. And it's interesting to me how, I think a lot of times we as business owners are scared of sales. I see a lot of very small business owners who are terrified of sales. Yep. Terrified.
Yes, you're a monster now. And it's not because you want to be a monster. You're just so frustrated and you're overwhelmed. You're overthinking it. You've spent a lot of money on things that don't work. And you know what? Sales can be terrifying. Sales can be frustrating. It is the lifeline of the business. That is the lifeline of a business that actually can be successful, is if you have sales.
Yeah. And, you know, I see people really, really terrified of their sales process, of their marketing process. They're afraid to spend money on it.
Yep. And the hardest part, Haley, sometimes I think you and I discover this, is that a lot of times sales is a reflection of the person's own ability, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their own interface with signing up for things. Maybe they're wishy-washy. Maybe they don't fulfill their part. Maybe they don't know how to talk to a human being. Maybe they don't have relationship skills. Whatever sales or not, the lack of sales is usually a reflection of the owner. And it's not because they're not trying or not willing, but sometimes it's a reflection of that person's individual. I consider maturity around what sales really is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think it's really interesting to see, you know, how people go into the sales and marketing process and they are so terrified of trying the things that they think will, and finding the things that work for them because they heard that they're supposed to do things too.
Yeah, and I'll tell a story today. Before I finished my afternoon meetings, we onboarded a client last week. She had said, I spent $50,000 on coaching. She had books in her garage. She had been to every single freaking program, and she was not closing any sales. So I told her, if we're going to work together, I need you to follow exactly what I'm telling you to do for your marketing and your sales. And she said, Charlene, I'm ready. Charlene, I'm going to do everything you say. And I said, hey, it's not for me. It's for you. Like, I'm telling you these things because I know it's going to work. She literally today had her family pet die. I'm just telling you.
It happens.
Mom got COVID. Couldn't get the vaccine in time. She literally had puffy eyes. And she said, Charlene, I've got a sales call. And this is exactly what I followed. I have a sales call on my schedule. I'm terrified. Should I reschedule because I'm having a bad day? I said, you are going to show up. You're going to follow everything I told you to do. This person is qualified. It was 10 minutes of a live you did. This person took the appointment and they're here. And of course, she's puffy-eyed and she's just like, oh my gosh, Shirley, I can't do this. I said, you're going to do this. We hung up. She took her call. I was wrapping up my office. She called me again and I was like, you closed the deal. She's like, I closed the deal. Oh my gosh, I have been working on this so hard. And I closed the deal. And I told her, why are you calling me first? And she said, Charlene, because no one else has helped me through any of the struggle, any of the pain, any of the mindset, anything I was doing. And she's in Irvine, California. She's successful. I mean, she doesn't need to have a business. She's perfectly fine. But this is the reason why I think, Haley, back to your question originally, and this is the power of the story, is that I think a lot of business owners are just like her. They're trying everything. They're doing everything. They just don't have someone who understands that sales is the most important thing in your business. It's not about the website. It's not about how many funnels. It's not even about your brand and your color. That's all fluff.
What you mean having the perfect logo isn't the most important thing to my business?
Haley, they come to you to fix their broken website and they go, my website's supposed to bring me leads. And you're like, so what are you doing to help your website do that? Nothing, right? Nothing you could possibly do is going to help them if they don't understand the power of sales. And they have to do sales no matter what in their business. That's a priority.
Yeah. The whole function of a website is to generate leads. But if you don't know what you're selling, the best website in the world isn't going to do it for you. The best funnel in the world isn't going to do it for you because you have to be very, very specific about what you're selling. And that's why I almost never default to starting with ads and funnels in the online space if somebody hasn't been around a bit and hasn't made their first handful of sales in the online space. You have to make that first handful of sales and kind of get to understand the lay of the land, because what works for a business owner who is, you know, a health and wellness practitioner offline or a coach or whatever is going to be a little bit different in the online space, because the specificity and the targeting is has to be so much better, and it has to be so much narrower. And you have to draw a really tight bullseye and hit it in the online space. I mean, I can be pretty sloppy in my marketing in the offline space, and I'll get referrals until the cows come home. In the online space, as long as I'm not super specific, I'm not going to get the first client.
No. And it's okay. Like, we want to not, like, you know, be the rain, you know, negative Nancy here for your guys's, you know, hopefully, you know, the struggle is real, right, with your sales and market. That is not our point. What we're trying to do is give you context so you can make the decisions of what to say no to, because it's not working. Mm-hmm. And we want to give you permission to say yes to the things that work. Remember, it's not 10 things that work. It's 2 or 3 things that you do really well consistently.
Yeah. So for me, it's doing lives. Yeah. And everybody's like, oh my God, you're such a beast on lives. And I'm like, yeah, but I suck at email marketing. I've hired somebody on my team who's doing my email marketing, y'all, because I, for the life of me, struggle with being consistent.
But it's not, but Haley, this is the thing. There is synergy in this strategy that a lot of people forget, right? They think, I'm going to be on Clubhouse. I'm going to be on Facebook. I'm going to be on Instagram. I'm going to be emailing. I mean, they're doing 12 things. And I'm like, aren't you tired? And they're like, well, Charlene, you know, you're supposed to be this marketing person. Shouldn't you be telling me? I'm like, hell, I'll hate my business if I've got to do all those things and not get a single sale. Why don't you just
even if I was doing all of those things and getting tons of sales, I'd be ready to fall over dead of a heart attack.
It just doesn't make sense.
You're not going to be able to get sales off of Clubhouse and LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest and Snapchat and TikTok and YouTube and this and that and the other if you don't have a flipping team working for you. And chances are most of your leads are going to come from one source. Maybe 2.
So when you thought you made $10,000 after you pay everybody, guess what? Your profit is less than 10% of your entire purchase program. You're walking around going, I didn't make anything. And I'm like, yep, you made 0, because you're so wide in your strategy that you're not targeting the bullseye. You're not focusing on 2 or 3 things that really work for your business and your clients. And you wonder why you can make a $10,000 sale and yet you have 0 money.
That hurts.
It's just the reality, guys. We've been around the block enough times. We are just trying, and we're pleading with you, and we're doing these lives so that you can go, okay.
But what do you mean? I can hire a VA to do all this stuff for me in my business. But then the problem is that you're trying to spread it so thin and teach a VA to do what you want them to do, because VAs aren't going to just like automatically read your brain and do whatever you want them to do until you've trained them. And then by the time they've come up the curve, you run your bank account to dry.
It's true. Wrong hires don't help. And expecting the wrong hire to understand you, and even the right hire, they'll leave if they don't get what you're trying to help them do. And that's the unfortunate truth of people who don't have a plan and systems in place and, you know, the right funnels that they're trying to do. It's an unfortunate reality. Sometimes you guys spend money and you're not making any money.
And it hurts.
It does. It really does.
It hurts a lot. You know, and I mean, I've been there. I've done that. I've been the one, and, you know, Charlene has wanted to like whap me upside the head a couple times. I've been the one who's spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on ads on a launch that was poorly targeted, and I got 1 sale. And I paid a coach amounts of money, you know, to basically walk me through the process. And I didn't know what I didn't know, you know, right. And that's why I'm sitting here telling you, you know, guys, if you haven't gotten a sale for this thing you're trying to sell, please, for the love of all that's holy, don't go buying in building out a course and a website and everything else. Because y'all, I spent $4,500 on the website and, you know, on the coach, and then on the ads manager, and then another on the ads. And I mean, by the time it got done, I'm like, oh my God, I made $897.
But this is the thing, Haley, right? That experience for you, you're lucky because maybe it was one round. Some people do that and repeat it over and over. And I'm like, how much do you have to spend? How much pain do you have to be to repeat the wrong thing?
Over and over and over again. Yeah. And isn't that like the literal definition of insanity? Is you keep doing the same thing over and over again, hoping for different results.
It is. But it's not only that they're looking for different results. They're thinking, you know what, this time it's going to be different. And yet the one person in the equation that needs to change is the owner. Had nothing to do with the VA, had nothing to do with the coach, had nothing to do with the funnels and the software. It was the owner who needed to understand the best way possible to hit their target.
Mm-hmm. And I have since become a huge advocate for doing it organically, talking to people. That's the other thing a lot of people don't do. You know, where marketing fails, you're not talking to enough people.
Right.
How many people have you talked to in the last 3 months? 2. You got your answer right there.
Yep.
It's really hard to get the right audience even and find your tribe and have your tribe find you if you only talk to 2 people in the last month.
Yep. But Haley, I think this is the thing, especially because with with WEN, one of the things I think is really powerful is that you really try to manage so that there's an engagement. You know, even with the numbers high, and even with, you know, a lot of us who are doing the lives, we're doing the mastermind, we're doing everything to engage on the platform. But that's because you've attracted these business owners and entrepreneurs who understand engagement is how you get the sale. Like, without that piece, people won't realize the power of doing the lives and showing up in masterminds and doing the speaking gigs and being visible and being, you know, able to network and communicate with people. And I think, Haley, you've done that really, really well, but you've also attracted those people who get it really, really well.
Right. Well, people who don't get it tend to be like, well, you're not really here to support small business, so I'm going to go elsewhere, which is really kind of funny.
Right.
Because spraying and praying never works.
Nope. Or the wish it coulda, shoulda doesn't work either, guys.
Darn it. Cool.
Haley, it's not that hard, right?
No.
It's really easy to us, but it's really hard for a lot of other people.
It's not complex. It's very simple, but it doesn't make it easy to do.
Yep.
Simple is rarely easy. Elegant is frequently the hardest thing to come by.
But no one sees that, right? When we do our launches, when we are doing our trainings, we're doing our intensives, we're doing our lives. No one sees everything that happens before that. Everyone sees, wow, they just have it all together. And you're like, we literally work our butt off every single day in our business.
You don't see the extra like 300 hours that went into planning that to making it look effortless.
Yep.
Yeah. I feel you. Making me glow.
I know. We're like having a conversation with someone who actually understands, right? Like, oh no. It's like we're sitting down, and if we had some popcorn, Haley, this would be funny. We'd be like, we just watched until they get it. We'll just keep eating our popcorn until they get that. Right? Let the movie play.
Would you like some mixed nuts while we're at it?
I actually bought the vitamin C Chewies at Costco, and I laughed and laughed. And they're like, why are you laughing? I'm like, because my dear friend has that, and that's why I wanted to buy it. And they're like, okay, that's weird. I'm like, you don't understand. This is what she lives on 7 to 10 times a day.
I do. It's awesome. So we're getting ready to go hop over on to Clubhouse tonight.
Yes.
And I'm excited about this. And we're talking about easy marketing. Nope. We're hopping on to, what was the topic for tonight? Thursday. Thursday. Sorry.
It's marketing made easy.
I'm like, wait a minute. Where is the thing? Yeah.
Thursday. because we were going to stack it on Thursday after you did your last group, so we'll cop over. But
Yep.
this is the thing, Haley. On Clubhouse, let's just talk about really real. This one post I saw, someone said, "Is it really worth it?" And I was like, "Yeah, it really is worth it."
I don't know. You want to make money in
And
your
the
business?
power of Clubhouse is, guys, you don't understand. Like Haley and I were in a room last week. Jill showed up. We had other people show up. Like they're a real engagement. Like people want to connect with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, crazy talk, right?
Haley, I don't know how it's not possible. Like people don't understand. Clubhouse is really disrupting the space. Like this is the best place for engagements.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing too, that people lose sight of the fact when we're talking about marketing that works, sales, you have to connect to somebody at some point.
Yep. So what do you think people's biggest hang up is? Because, you know, we can sit here till we're blue in the face and we do this every Tuesday night because we believe in people. We believe in entrepreneurship. We live it, we eat it, we sleep it, we do it. What do you think people's biggest hang up is in just like doing marketing that works, that doing the right thing for sales works? Like why is it so hard for them to just accept that this is what works and there's other things that don't work?
You know, I think that there's a lot of noise out there where people hear, I heard from an expert somewhere that said, you need to do blah, blah, blah. You need to write a blog. You need to build a YouTube channel. You need to do this. You need to do that. Those are all options for marketing, but you don't need to do all of them. And I think that that's probably one of the biggest impediments because you get into this, oh my God, such and such said I need to do this. And so and said I need to do that. And then I'm over here, and then I'm over here, and then I'm that, da, 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 da. And then you get into this paralysis mode because you're this deer in the headlights because everybody's telling you to do something slightly different. And rather than you focusing on what you do exceptionally well and finding that combination of what works exceptionally well for you and for your business and your audience, you know, we're over here trying to please everybody and it just runs us right into the ground. So, I mean, that's one thing. And then there's that fear of getting said I had to do a blog, so I'm not going to do any of it.
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. It's the noise, the space and the noise in the space is too much. But here's something I learned today. And I learned this from someone who got on a call with me. And she said, you know, Charlene, I have a coach. She's telling me to do this, this, and this. And I said, so why are you on this call? Like, I think you should listen to your coach. Like, go back to your coach, listen to what she's saying. And she goes, but she said to do Google ads and Facebook ads. And I haven't made a single sale. And I said, okay, so you're here because what your coach told you isn't working. All right. I said, well, this is the kind of coach I am. We're going to focus primarily on your sales. We're going to fix and make some tweaks on your marketing. And this was the thing I learned from her. She said, I don't want to do it and I don't have the time to learn it. So I thought if I did it, maybe I'd learn something. Maybe now that if I hired a VA and had her do it, it would happen. And now I've spent over $2,000 on ads and I have 0 sales to show for it. And I think this is the crux of every entrepreneur we've ever talked to. Guys, you don't have to know everything in order to do something. You just have to know a little and you have to let the rest happen, whether it's getting on a sales call, working through your programs and your pricing and figuring it out. Like you don't have to know everything about ads. You don't have to know everything about YouTube. You just have to get in there and do it. If that's your strategy.
Yeah. I'm a big believer in that. And there's this tendency to go straight to ads. As part of your marketing strategy when you haven't made other sales.
Nope, not a good idea at all. You're absolutely right.
And I have to say that 100% of the time I see people do that, it fails. Not just most of the time, not just 50% of the time. Maybe you'll be unusual, maybe you'll be lucky. 100% of the time it fails.
And Haley, this is the thing. If they don't have a foundation and they're throwing all these, ad spend and they're thinking it's going to stick, it doesn't stick, right? It's a spaghetti mentality. Oh, throw something on the wall, hope something sticks. what we're trying to say, guys, is you don't have to do all those external things to get the one thing. You just have to do a couple of things really well to get the sales, to build on that and have success.
And most importantly, have the conversations with people. If you're not having the conversations with people, if you're not having the calls, if you're not connecting, none of the rest of it's going to matter.
No, not even because you're trying to, guys. It just doesn't happen. Nothing you can do can replace human connection, having conversations, making real life people to people business. Nothing can replace that. Nothing in social media can replace it. Nothing superficial, nothing on any of these platforms can replace human engagement, human interaction.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. None of it.
So Haley, what do you think? Like, one of the things that I'm really struggling with, I think for me, is a lot of people don't look at data. And when I pull up data, right, and I tell the client, well, let's look at your funnel. You ran it. And now let's look at the last 2 weeks. What's your appointment calendar look like? Let's look at the numbers and how many converted, who showed up, what funnel did they come through. I really struggle because people like to feel the emotion of their marketing, and where I look at the data and the analytics. Why do people swear that they have to just ignore the data? Like, I am so frustrated with that.
They're scared of the numbers. Just like they're scared to talk to a CPA.
Well, that's true.
You know, they don't talk to a financial planner. They probably don't have life insurance. You know, they may not have a will. The numbers, the reality of some of these things, the finality of it is terrifying. You know, you're having to look things that you don't want to be looking in the face. You know, and stare them down and figure out what you're going to do about them.
They're afraid of the data.
The data can be terrifying.
And yet I thrive in that. When I get to look at the data, I go, let's recalibrate, right? Make an adjustment. Spend more time here, less time here. Let's look at your calendar. Make yourself more available, because it seems like Thursdays and Fridays are better for people because you're nurturing them all week. Look at the data. And you're absolutely right. They're so scared of the data that they don't want to look at. They can't make a decision because emotionally they can't deal with it.
Yep. That's what it is.
Yeah, you're right. But data is so valuable.
It is. It tells you a lot about what you're doing or not doing.
I mean, when you look at the bank account, guys, it's not $79. It's $78.97. There's something to be exact about when you look at data.
Yeah, but that's the, you know, the Lean Six Sigma training, the business training, the accountant, that kind of stuff, the MBA, the computer science, the engineer, those kinds of things, you know, lead you to wanting to really look at the data. I spent X amount of time and I got Y amount of bookings or calls.
That's what I think. I mean, at the end of the day, I want to look at data so that my data justifies my expense and my time and my effort and my staff and my goals. Not my emotion. I could care less about my emotion.
Right. But a lot of people have, you know, very strong feelings, and they have a lot of pride in this. You know, what if the data shows that what they think is true is wrong, and then they have to go do something different? That can be scary.
That's a good point.
And a lot of people really are terrified of working their way, you know, out of a problem and doing the problem solving and, you know, really digging through stuff to figure out what the heck is wrong. So much easier to just throw something else and throw somebody else under the bus.
Yeah. But the common denominator, guys, in the business is you. You as the owner, me as the owner, Haley as the owner. That's where every responsibility falls on. It's what we're willing to do, what we're not willing to do, what we are doing.
Yeah. And, you know, it boils down to getting people onto those calls so you can have those sales conversations, so you can make those sales.
I know, guys, it's scary, but that's the reality. If you're even looking at selling a $5,000 to $10,000 to $20,000 program, if you're trying to build funnels, if you're trying to build websites, like you have to have a conversation with a human being.
Mm-hmm. Even if you're selling a $197 course, you're going to be having a conversation with somebody.
Exactly.
That's the hardest conversation that I have with people is, well, you're still going to have a conversation with somebody about this. And you're probably not going to be happy to be having these conversations about it. But, realistically, yeah, so you better be pricing your services in a way that you're comfortable to factor in the time that you're spending on these consultation calls with them and understand that you're going to close a percentage of them.
Yep, exactly. Man, Haley, these are like some of the best lives we get to do at night, because this is really where it gets so raw and real. And I know that for a lot of people who get to watch this, they are so much more, able to make better decisions in their business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And you know what? My goal here is to help 1 million entrepreneurs.
Yep.
Make better decisions, do better, make more money. Doesn't have to be hard. We make it unnecessarily hard and complex.
Yes. And for what reason though, right? And as we pick these topics to talk about every week, you choose your hard, and we're like, guys, we're trying to give you the best strategy plan that people pay us to coach them on these lives. Like, we're telling you the things that we tell our own clients.
Mm-hmm. We do. Yeah. It's actually kind of funny. People could go back and watch all the recordings on, YouTube and, figure out what exactly we're telling our clients. I'm just saying. But
you know what? Common sense isn't too common,
Yeah. I mean, how many people are going to go and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Women's Entrepreneur Network, by the way, and, go and find all of these recordings and build their business off of all of the free information that we're putting out there. Double dog dare you.
I mean, it's like free content, guys. Like, this is the most information you're going to get about something so tangible you can take action on, and that you literally can see the results next day. Like, we are freely giving this to you so you can use it in your business right now.
Yep. I have somebody who says, Haley, I love you, but I just spent 20 minutes listening to you two. I got nothing out of it. I'm like, well, then you probably aren't listening too carefully.
Yeah. Guys, this is what people pay us $10s and $20, $30, $40, $50, $50,000 of program. Like, there is so much.
There's nothing like, we're not telling you guys anything crazy here. We're just saying, go out, nail your message, narrow down your message, talk to people, and be aware of where the marketing pitfalls are happening and analyze your data. Sorry, guys. That's the full, the full message of it. Lay says, how can you run an ad if you don't have your message to make the sales? Absolutely. People will try to get their ad person to come up with a message for them. And yeah, like, we have half of a funnel and half of a message, and half the pieces and parts, and it's really hard to get all the pieces and parts working together. Marketing, has to work together, and it has to be integrated fully into the business. It's not something that just exists over on the side.
But this is the reality, Haley. And I think this is probably, to Lay's point, and to a lot of people who are probably watching this and asking, if you're not driving your business, who is? It can't be your subs. It can't be your VAs. It can't be everyone else. Mm-mm. CEOs have to drive the company.
You have to drive the
CEO.
bus.
You are a CEO, guys. You don't have to have corporate America tell you if you're a CEO. If you're a business, you're the CEO. 100% of accountability goes to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And ultimately, at the end of the day, your employees are looking at you to make the decision.
Right.
And your family is looking at you to make that decision. And sometimes you're making really hard decisions.
Yeah.
But if you don't look at the data, you know, like Charlene loves data. I love data too. I mean, this all has to be data driven. Marketing and sales, if you guys look at it, is not all squishy feely, huggy, sweet. It's data, it's numbers, it's analytics.
Right. And that's what we want to leave with you guys tonight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sales and marketing isn't a function of emotions. It's a function of data. Data tells us where your customer is shopping, who they are, what your ideal customer is willing to spend. It's data that drives these strategies. So hopefully you'll get that at the end of this, live tonight, that look at the data, follow the data, use the data to make your decisions.
Yep. Absolutely. And if the numbers aren't supporting what you're doing, do something different.
Yep.
If you're not seeing an increase in sales, maybe you're not talking to the right people. Maybe the message is off.
Right.
Most of the times it's messaging and targeting.
Yeah. So true.
It's all good.
Yeah, I know. Thanks, Haley, for everything. Thanks, everyone. Have an awesome night.
Awesome. Thank you guys for hanging with us. This has been fun.
Don't overthink it. We just told you the facts. Stick to the facts. That's what we're trying to do. Have an awesome night, everybody. Thanks, Haley. I'll see you on Clubhouse on Thursday.
Yep. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Lay says, my question was based on what I'm learning, not as a real question from you. Yeah, no, and no strategy. Yes, I know. I didn't think that was actually coming from you, Lay. I know that you work with clients who give you stuff and they're like, well, I don't really have all the pieces, but I want you to build a website with no photos and no copy.
Yes. Have a great night, guys.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.